Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? Welcome into a live episode of the Flock Rundown. Got a very special guest on, Jason from Huddle It Up Films. Runs a great YouTube channel over there. If you guys haven't seen his clips of film and different players, he also live streams every week. Very knowledgeable about the Ravens roster, scouting players, everything, man. This guy knows ball. So what's up, Jason? How are you on this beautiful Tuesday night?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm ready for preseason to be over. I'm ready to get the season started. And, thanks so much for having me. This is really cool. Ryan was on my channel last week, and I get to come on his this week. So this is great. Shout out to everybody in the chat and all of Ryan's followers out there on YouTube. So love you guys. It's good. Great seeing you.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate everyone tuning in. What's up, everybody? So we're going to dive through the 53-man roster a little bit. This won't be technically like the final predictions, but I mocked up. Let me share my screen here. I made kind of a rough 63. I know there's some obvious cuts on here, but I wanted to kind of go through each position and just talk and kind of maybe say, like, this is who we think is going to make it. This is who might get cut. And we'll try and knock 10 of these guys off here because we're at 63 right now on this sheet that I made. And we'll just go through, and also anybody in the chat, feel free to chime in too with who you guys think might make it or whatever. There's some tough cuts, man. We got a little bit more information. So I think John Harbaugh these last few days has been clearing a couple things up for us. We know that Emory Jones Jr. is staying on the non-football injury list, so he's not going to count towards that initial 53. Might get brought back at some point, but not going to be a part of this initial 53. Also, Adisa Isaac is going to IR, so he's not going to count towards the initial 53. And then John Harbaugh also said today they're probably going with 9 offensive linemen, so a little bit of clarity starting to show itself here, but there's still some tough decisions, man. I was making this and I added 10. I added a couple extra on purpose just so we could kind of talk through some of the bubble guys, but I was having a tough time once I got down to like 55, like there's some real debates here. I know you're working on a final 53 as well, Jason. How's that going for you?
Well, it's going pretty well. And, I think the main problem for me is on defense. The numbers don't add up.
I know.
So on offense, Harbaugh kind of stole my thunder a little bit. I was ahead of the game. 4 running backs are going to be kept, 9 offensive linemen, and that's really where the mix was. What do you carry 10 offensive linemen because you have Carson Vincent? He's not really ready to play. But if you carry 10 offensive linemen, that takes away Rasheen Ali. And I know fans you can get Rasheen Ali, that kind of skill set out there on the street. We saw Dearness Johnson do his thing. We saw Myles Gaskin do his thing. But with these new kickoff rules, Ryan, this is what I've been stressing, that if I'm Harbaugh, trying to think like John Harbaugh here for a second, you got 2 kick returners back. So it's not just one starting kick returner with the kickoff shortened and everything. You got Keaton Mitchell on one side, and you got guy number X or guy X on the other side. If you're the other team, Ryan, who are you kicking to? Not Keaton Mitchell, right?
Right. Yeah, 100%.
So that second kick returner is a starter, and John, knowing Harbaugh, he's not going to just trust anybody to do it. Plus, if it is kicked to Keaton Mitchell, that other kick returner is like a fullback. If you see him like steaming right ahead of the guy with the ball, so I think Rasheen Ali is safe. Harbaugh said he's going to go with 4 running backs, and then the other aspect of it is Keaton, has been banged up. Aside from the nasty injury, there's no fault in him, but he was banged up his rookie year preseason too. So for me, it's 9 offensive linemen, 4 running backs. The 6 wide receivers are a lock. Wester's a lock. And the 4 tight ends, I think, 4, Pat Ricard and the 3 tight ends makes 4. I think likely is, pardon the pun, likely to be on the roster and at least threaten these teams since these first 4 games are so important.
Yeah, let's dive into it. Yeah, I mean, you just covered a lot of that. And wide receivers, somebody's asking, where's Bateman? Bateman's down here. They got it formatted. They got the wide receivers split like they're on both sides. So they're all here. Nice. So let's just start with the wide receivers. I think that's a pretty obvious 6. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I got Zay, DeAndre Hopkins, Tylan Wallace, Rashad Bateman, Tez Walker, and LaJohntay Wester, who's going to be the starting punt returner. I mean, other guys that were on the bubble there would be like Dayton Wade, Keith Kirkwood. Do you see any decision to be had there, or you think it's a pretty clear 6?
Yeah, pretty clear 6, but it feels good. Anthony Miller, Keith Kirkwood, those guys in particular showed they can play, and I think that they'll be able to get to the practice squad.
Yeah.
Other teams are going to be going with their own receivers who know the system, young receivers. So if something happens again with our wide receivers, I think that we will be able to call up an Anthony Miller or Keith Kirkwood if needed. So
yeah,
but excited about Wester, excited about Tez Walker. It's a good looking group of 6 receivers.
Yeah, completely agree. I think that all the other bubble guys will be safe on the practice squad too. I don't really, it's not like somebody's going to get plucked. So I think they'll be headed to the practice squad. All right, let's move past wide receivers. I think that's a pretty obvious one. The tight end room, the only decision I was struggling with is Isaiah Likely going on IR? Because then you have only 2 tight ends. I guess Ricard could be considered tight end / fullback. Do you see Likely? Because we really don't know. Harbaugh didn't give us much information. Do you see Likely going on IR, or do you think that he could probably come back in like week 2 or 3 and he's going to be on that initial 53?
I'm guessing that he's going to be on the initial 53 and not go to IR.
Mm-hmm.
And my reasons are pretty simple. If we were playing some less important games, I would say week 3, week 4, then maybe Likely just starts and misses the first 4 games. But I think, Harbaugh's already playing possum with exactly when Likely he's going to be back. Well, I'm not going to tell you he's, week 1's the target. And I think all of us are thinking he's not going to be back week 1. But Harbaugh likes having that question in his, for his opponent. So when you're looking at week 3, Monday Night Football at the bank against the Detroit Lions, week 4 at Kansas City. Look, if Isaiah Likely has to miss 3 weeks and is just available for that Kansas City game, I think it's worth it. I think you can get by the first 3 weeks with 52 guys. You know what I mean? Everybody's healthy coming out. So I think he keeps them. And then, my curveball to you, Ryan, is if they decide Likely's going to be out at least 4 weeks and, they get the doctor's updates, I wouldn't be shocked if that spot goes to defense and they go 26, 24.
No, I completely agree. That's why I was saying they could kind of just have Ricard as that alternate third tight end if they needed, because the only other guys really in position for that might be Scotty Washington, but I don't think that he's going to make it either. I think he's a practice squad guy. So I also agree that Likely is not going to get on IR, but if he did, I think they only carry Mark Andrews and Kohler heading into the season, and then they keep an extra guy on defense, which we'll get to in a little bit because the defense is tough. There's a question here. Back to the wide receivers real quick. I just wanted to address. Do you think the last, and it's from Tia, by the way, shout out to Tia. Do you think the last preseason game will impact Wester's spot? What do you think, Jason?
Not at all. Not at all. I think, his development as a wide receiver is just that. It's development. He's a rookie. He had proved that he is the best returner on this team. And quite frankly, Ryan, they're throwing the ball outside the numbers to Wester with a quarterback that doesn't have an arm like Lamar. Wester profiles as a slot receiver, so if we need to use him this year, you line him up in the slot, you run a lot of little short drag routes and routes like that. You don't put him against a 6'1" press corner on the outside, which is what he was doing on Thursday night. So I think they were just experimenting, Tia, letting him work the boundary and seeing what he's got, giving him a chance to see. And I think it was good for him, Ryan, because LaJohntay knows what kind of work he has to do going forward if he wants to be a Zay Flowers starting receiver.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think that they're looking at him strongly as a wide receiver anyway. So if he were to happen to struggle, on Saturday as a wide receiver, I don't think it's a big deal. He's going to be the starting punt returner, which is why he's going to be on this roster for sure. All right, let's head to the offensive line here. We can, breeze through it pretty quick. I have some extras here just to conversate, but I think it's going to be 9. Harbaugh said that today. So that would make Ronnie, the starters are locked in here. Ronnie Stanley, Andrew Voorhees, Linderbaum, Fa'alele, and Rosengarten. I think personally, Joseph Noteboom will be that backup swing tackle and be on the active roster. Ben Cleveland's going to be a backup guard and make the active roster. Corey Bullock is going to be backup center / guard. He can also play some right guard if needed. And then I think they keep Carson Vincent, even though he's not really ready. He's a developmental guy. And I have them probably getting rid of Dellinger and Samac and then keeping those 9. But what are your thoughts on the offensive line roster? And would you keep 10 or would you go with this because there's too many guys on defense to pick from?
I mean, a lot of fans would feel better if we took 10, and that's really been the discussion on offense because, like you said, Carson Vincent, the best thing for him would be to sit a year, but you can't give up. Carson Vincent's going to make the roster. You don't give up on somebody that physically talented. Ken, when I was on with Ken McCusick last night, had him tracked for 4 pancake blocks, by the way, on against Dallas. And you can see when he makes those blocks. I didn't track that yet, but just a beast in the run game. So this man could be the future left tackle. Will take over for Ronnie Stanley. And like you said, if somebody gets hurt early or during the season, Note Boom's probably that guy. But you took Dellinger off and you took Samac off.
Yeah.
Hey, props to Corey Bullock, kid from Maryland, coming up, making it. Smart player. He's played some guard from what I heard from the reporters as well in training camp. So a versatile player. But I think, with Samac and Dellinger, hopefully both of those guys make it through the practice squad. They don't get claimed. And if we get a little short and we don't want to play Carson Vincent, we can elevate them, use them as our practice squad elevations during the year.
Yeah, completely agree. And then Lance, he's saying the 10th would be Emery, but Emery he's on the non-football injury list, so that doesn't count towards the active 53. And if he goes into the season, I believe he has to miss those first 4 games on the non-football injury list, but then they can activate him whenever. So he's not. Harbaugh confirmed yesterday that Emery's not ready. He's not cleared by the doctors. So I see him staying on the non-football injury list. There's no need to take that roster spot. Eventually, if he's healthy, I think he'll get pulled back on. But right now, we're probably going with 9. Right? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, it's a shame, man. I was high on Emory Jones. He was ranked ahead on my board of where we picked him. So I really like the pick on draft night. And Emory Jones, just to speak on him, he stepped right in as a freshman and played at LSU. A 3-year guy. So he didn't have to hang around for all 4 years to get drafted or 5 years. 3 years and out, a pure prospect, and held his own in the SEC at right tackle. So I really like him. It's a shame. I think he could have helped us this year if somebody went down and he had gotten all these training camp reps and been playing in these games. But at this point, man, it's anything you can get from Emory this year is a bonus.
Yep, completely agree. Kind of a red shirt year, unfortunately, but is what it is. Hopefully gets back healthy and is productive in the future. All right, so those are our 9 offensive linemen. I think that's how it's going to play out, but we'll see. We'll go with that for now. We already did wide receivers. Quarterbacks, we'll just breeze through this. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, Cooper Rush making it. Devin Leary is, if I'm not mistaken, the emergency quarterback still counts against the 53, but not the active game roster?
No, you can take him off the roster. He will be on the practice squad. I don't think anybody's claiming him, and he'll be able to be the emergency quarterback on game days. So
right, and
right. So yeah, we have 2. Cooper Rush. I think obviously you could see the limitations. I think we're spoiled by Lamar and his arm strength. Cooper Rush does not have a strong arm, but for the most part, he manages the games. The one interception you can put on him and Wester. The other interception went off of Ali's hands. He did have some nice throws in the game. I believe Anthony Miller on a nice back shoulder. There just aren't enough good quarterbacks to go around. So, but on Leary, Ryan, my thing for next year is I would love to bring in a developmental or another quarterback who's ready, who's just smart with the ball, quick, efficient. So these wide receivers on the second and third team can get some better quarterback play than what Devin Leary has given us.
Yeah, completely agree. I think that's definitely how it's going to play out, and I definitely would like a different third quarterback, and didn't hate what I saw from Rush the other night. Definitely, a couple bad decisions for sure, but I like a backup quarterback that a lot of people, I've seen a lot of fans, arguing for a mobile quarterback to back up Lamar, but I kind of like somebody that can still keep the pass offense alive a little bit and understand and push the ball downfield. I think Rush can do that. I know he's not a starting quarterback, but that's why he's a backup, but I don't think terrible.
No, I agree with you. I think if this was a Greg Roman offense where the concepts in the passing game are just limited, then Snoop Huntley or somebody would be good, but you can't replace Lamar's legs and arms with a backup. Like those guys are already starters. Lamar's a 1-on-1. So if you give me, I want to be able to make some, complete some passes if my backup's in there. So I kind of lean with it. Give me a backup that can sling it around a little bit, make good decisions. And Cooper Rush has done okay in this league for himself as a backup. We just hope Lamar's healthy all 17
Yeah,
games.
100%. Yeah, 100%. All right, let's move over to the running backs. Harbaugh said we're keeping 4, so these are the 4 I put here. The only debating one, I guess, would be Myles Gaskin, but I do think with Ali's age, with his production at kick returner and the ability to do that and play special teams well, I think that he makes the roster. Obviously, we got Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell. Do you see any other running back even in the running? Would you keep 3 instead of 4, or is this how you see it playing out too?
Again, I try not to think about what I would do. I try to think about what Harbaugh would do, and he's a special teams guy. I said at the beginning of the show the reasoning why they want Ali. I expect teams to kick away from Keaton Mitchell and to the second returner. We've seen Ali do pretty well in the return department. And, Ali is not fast, not explosive. I think if one of the 3 running backs went down, you would, excuse me, I'm talking about Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell. One of the guys carrying the ball goes down, then you would see maybe a Myles Gaskin or Dearness Johnson come off the practice squad and take those carries. So Ali's position as a running back really is, look, he covers kicks, he returns kicks. He's on all 4 special teams unit. This is a guy who will earn his spot basically on special teams as one of our 2 primary kick returners.
Yeah, I completely agree. We do have I skipped over Pat Ricard. He said Edwin said, to be fair, Ricard falls under tight end as fullback. Yeah, he's a hybrid, but he's only going to take 1 roster spot up. So Pat Ricard's making the team. Let's see here.
By the way, I like the backup fullback. He looked really good.
Scott?
Yeah, Lucas Scott.
Yeah. But practice squad, right? I mean, where would be the
for
room?
Sure. I was just, it was pretty cool for him to see him come in, and we like Ricard in our offense, and we had another fullback that actually did the job well, so we could run the same kind of offense. So that was pretty cool to see. Of course, the league of dying fullbacks, we don't have to worry about losing him. He can stay there on the practice squad, and if we choose to carry a fullback on the practice squad.
Yeah. Brian, just to stay on the running back talk here for a second, he asked, is Harbaugh trying to drive up the trade price for Ali? Justice Hill can also return kicks, but is he too valuable to use on that? I think he is too valuable to use on that. What are your thoughts though, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, they've taken him off special teams. So we saw that last year. Justice Hill has earned his way off of special teams. Heck of a gunner, Justice Hill too. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe Tylan Wallace could return kicks. I would have liked to see LaJonte get his shot returning kickoffs. And I knew they said they wanted running backs doing that, but with the condensed field and seeing what I've seen out of LaJonte's field vision, I would have liked to seen him get a shot instead of Ali, but it didn't happen. And I think, like I said, I think Ali is going to have his spot as a kick returner all year as long as he's healthy and does well.
Yeah, I agree. LaJonte would be fun back there too, man. I think, and especially like, it's not even really like a durability issue with his size or anything, because they're not really running like they used to. You used to have like a full sprint. So like then there was concern that you might get injured, especially with a smaller guy. But now they're stationary blocking. So it's
dude, punt return seems more dangerous to me than kick return.
Yeah, 100%. That would be fun. All right, let's head over to the defense, because I think we're going to spend a little bit more time here probably. So we'll just group the whole D line together here, kind of. I got
the hardwood first.
What's that?
This is the hardest one.
No, I know.
This is ridiculous.
I completely agree. So right now I got Nnamdi Madubuike, Aeneas Peebles. I do think they're both locks. I think that they're both going to be there at end, and then Broderick Washington, and then at nose tackle Travis Jones. I think those 1, 2, 3, 4 are guaranteed. And then the debate here is, who are we deciding between at nose tackle John Jenkins and CJ Okoye? We'll just start there. Yeah, so I think only one of those can make it. very different players too. John Jenkins, the old vet, experienced. And then CJ Okoye is that raw, huge size guy that they kind of brought in, not really probably expecting to make the roster. And then he's worked his tail off and he's been impressive and has a ton of potential. So do they keep the young guy on the active roster to avoid him being plucked? Do they try and sneak him onto the practice squad and keep the veteran John Jenkins? Where's your head at with this?
Really, really well said by you. So that's the scenario. And I mean, part of me says, look, you're playing Buffalo. They pushed you around in the playoffs up front. When Travis Jones comes off the field and he's, needs a breather, you want John Jenkins in there. You can't go with some kid that never played college ball, and then the other side of me is you can't give up on CJ Okoye because they don't make human beings like he is built. And he's in there, very little NFL experience, just manhandling these interior offensive linemen. In the end, I would go with the youth of Okoye. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens keep Jenkins and try to sneak Okoye to the practice squad, but something tells me with the way that Okoye's played this preseason, Ryan, somebody's going to see that man and want them on their roster, especially imagine if you're like the Saints or something. You're not going to the Super Bowl. You're not going to the playoffs. You can use a roster spot on CJ Okoye. You'd love to see him on the waiver wire. So I think they hope they can sneak John Jenkins to the practice squad if they need him, but they stick with the young fellow from Nigeria because, man, he is just a physical presence.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to say, and then we ain't even talked about Brent Urban.
Yeah, I know we're getting there. Yeah, that's why I was thinking at nose tackle for a second here. I was just
I'm just saying it's insane. We keep 5.
Let's take Jenkins off then. I see a lot of people in the chat too. I'm very conflicted, honestly. I would not be shocked either way.
So how do you feel week 1, Buffalo, tie game, third quarter, Travis Jones needs a break, and you got to bring in CJ Okoye to play nose tackle against that big Buffalo offensive line and James Cook? It's like, you know what I mean? That's where the rubber is going to meet the road, where this young man has never played in the NFL game and has very little football experience.
And that's the risk. I think John Jenkins may be safer, but Okoye has so much more upside. And if you throw him on the practice squad, I think there's like an 85% chance he's gone. So do you just want to lose Okoye then? I think that's the decision, are you willing to just give up on that journey this early? I think that's where we're at. But we'll keep Okoye there for potential. That's a tough one though. And then heading over to the other side, Broderick Washington's a lock. Are we keeping Brent Urban on the initial 53? I also have Jason Jones here. I liked what I've seen from him, but I think he's probably not going to make it. I think he's a practice squad guy. But what are your thoughts between those?
Yeah, Jones and also
Ravenel too.
And Ravenel, I think we could probably take them off. And
okay.
Jason Jones, I did a long form study on him on Ken McCusick's channel. He's got some country strength to him, but he has some work to do. And Ravenel, solid player on the practice squad for us last year. He can be on the practice squad again this year. The real question is, we lost Michael Pierce, right? So we're in this scenario, we're replacing him with CJ Okoye, which I agree he should have the spot. But we drafted Aeneas Peebles. So for years, we've had Matabike Jones, Washington, Michael Pierce, and Brent Urban. Now we're adding Peebles to that group. And of course, Okoye is in Pierce's place. So an extra dude, do we have room for Brent Urban? And the good thing about Brent is we could make a handshake deal with him and keep him on the practice squad. He was available sitting on the couch until 2 weeks ago. So I'm guessing Urban sticks around, but probably doesn't make the initial 53 because we're going to need these DBs to make the team. And there's linebacker that might deserve to make the team too.
That's exactly where I was leaning. I'm like, Brent Urban is going to play this year, but I don't think he's on that initial 53. I think he's one of those guys they just are moving up and down depending on what matchup they need. So we'll take him off. Love Brent Urban, though. I think he's going to play quite a bit for us. I just think he doesn't make that initial one. There's a comment here. Has the roster been released yet from Chef Spicy? No, cuts are due next Tuesday. So 7 days from now, the official roster will be out, but we're just talking through some ideas here and going through the cuts. And
hey, man, let's hope we get through this last preseason game intact and can make all these decisions because it's a great looking roster. And yeah, man, the Okoye he's made his case to where you can't take him. I don't think you can.
I know it's risky. It's risky to throw him on the practice squad, and it's pretty much giving up on him, in my opinion. I think they like Jenkins, but I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked with either, honestly. But we'll stick with this right now.
Hey, man, maybe we'll have the lead so much that we really don't use a backup nose tackle too much.
Yeah,
because teams are just going to be throwing the ball on us, and Mike Green and the wrecking crew are going to be racking up sacks and interceptions. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right, let's jump down to the linebackers. We got Owe, obviously, Tavius Robinson, locks. Trenton Simpson, Teddy Buchanan, locks. Roquan Smith, lock. So the debates here are David Ajabo, but I think that gets a little clearer with Adisa Isaac being on IR. Adisa Isaac is on IR, or I don't know if they've officially put him on there. I don't think, but he's going to IR. He needs surgery in his elbow. Harbaugh said he's going to miss probably half the season. So he's not in the picture for the initial 53, which I think really gives David Ajabo here a good chance.
There we go. I
know. Yeah, my fault. Yeah, I didn't scroll down to the outside linebackers. Van Noy, Mike Green also locks. So is David Ajabo safe now, in your opinion?
I feel like he is. I think they want to keep 5 edge rushers like they usually do. And I don't think Malik Ham or the other guys have pushed Ajabo far enough. And I have a cut up of Ajabo on my channel. You and I were talking about this. It's Ajabo played well. He's played well. The explosiveness we saw out of Michigan is not there from Ajabo, but he's still the Adisa Isaac injury, like you said. It opens it up for Ajabo to be that 5th edge rusher, at least until Isaac comes back, because Isaac in his 2nd year, Ryan, after this year, he still has 2 years of team control. Ajabo's a free agent after this year. So if it comes down to the 2, they're keeping Isaac. They're not cutting the former 3rd round pick. But yeah, so Ajabo, I think we can take Malik Ham out. He's been hanging around the roster or hanging around Baltimore for a few years. He may be the guy that they keep on the practice squad in this exercise.
Yeah, I agree. And then I had a question here. I've seen this comment a few times here from Saad Blitz. Doesn't each team get a 1-man exemption for an international player? Yes, during the preseason and through training camp, he doesn't count towards the roster right now. But when you cut down to 53, you don't get that extra international player. That is correct, right, Jason?
That's correct. You get 91. You get 91 men right now instead of the 90.
Right.
But yeah, you have to cut down to.
Yeah. You got to cut down to 53. He's not going to count towards there. Cool. So that's 8 cuts with Malik Ham. And then Jay Higgins is the next debate. Do you see Jay Higgins being on the linebacker or making the team? I mean, he's been pushing for a little bit now, last preseason, both preseason games, really, both turnovers, the interception in the first preseason game, the forced fumble, sack in the last game, strip sack. Been looking solid in training camp. What are your thoughts on Higgins? Does he end up making the roster?
So the question for fans, everybody out there, that you need to ask yourself is, do you want to keep 5 running backs or 5 safeties? Because we're going to do the corners coming up soon, and there's going to be 6 of them that I think all of us can agree on. So when you go with the 6 corners and the 5 edge rushers and the 5 defensive linemen, that's 16, okay? That leaves you 9 spots between the linebackers and the safeties, 9 spots. We have 10 guys for those 9 spots. So for me, it's going to be between Jay Higgins and Bo Braid. And it's going to be a choose your fighter. Do you want Bo Braid in there? Do you think you can sneak him to the practice squad? Do you think you can, because the goal is to keep all of them, Ryan. Yeah. So really, when you're looking at this, it's like, who's least likely to be claimed? Will teams claim Bo Braid? Will teams claim Jay Higgins? If you think they're going to claim one and not the other, you keep the one that you think is going to get claimed. So this is a really tough test. This one, for me, is TBD. TBD. Yeah. I think that this Saturday's preseason game will decide it. Now, I'll be on the vault. Always do roster predictions with Sarah and Bobby. I'll be on the vault Monday and making my final decision. But for this show, I'll let you take it, and I will just say it's between Jay Higgins and Bo Braid. You got 9 spots and you got 10 guys.
Let's leave them there for right now because I think we only need like 2 more cuts here. So we'll talk about the secondary and then we'll make our final decisions here. So let's jump down to the secondary in general. This completes the defense here. So at corner, like you said, we got 6 corners. Nate Wiggins, Chidobe Awuzie, Jalen Armour-Davis, Marlon Humphrey, Jair Alexander, TJ Tampa. I do have Keon Martin on here just because I wanted to talk about him and highlight him.
Shout out.
Yeah, exactly. He's made a hell of a push, and even Harbaugh was complimenting him yesterday. I think, not only the sack, obviously the sack stands out, the safety sack in the end zone on Milton, but, he was blowing up the play before that too. Like this guy's all over the field. I think his personality is really nice and vibrant, and energy is infectious. And I would like to see him stick around, but you think he's probably going to the practice squad, right?
Man, I just love him. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you can, because of his size and him having a slot corner profile only, I think, and being from a small, I think you can keep him on the practice squad.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you have him on the list because
I wanted to talk about him.
Yeah, he stands out and plays like a Raven, doesn't he? He's got a little Tavon Young to him. Undersized guy, not bulky either, just a 5'8" and built like me, you know what I mean? And just out there taking dudes out, sacking quarterbacks for his safety, making tackles for losses. Really a big Keon Martin fan. I think he's got to be one of the winners of this preseason, even though it's not going to land him on the roster. But when you look at that cornerback group, Ryan, if you don't mind me, it might be a little transition if you don't mind.
No, go ahead. We're moving on.
If you look at it's something that me and you talked about on Wednesday on my channel. You look at Jair Alexander struggling to practice right now with the injury history. You got Jalen Armour-Davis. Everybody understands his injury history. Yep. Chidobe Awuzie has been banged up the last few years. So 3 of your 6 corners have had injury issues, which is why I lean towards keeping Bo Braid over Jay Higgins, because a guy like Lowry, it looks like he's got his roster spot locked up. Yep. Lowry was a college cornerback. So in a pinch, Lowry can play in the slot. Yep. Or you can move Kyle Hamilton to the slot and play Lowry as an extra safety. So I think just reverting back to before, at this point, I give the edge to Bo Braid, the extra safety, the extra DB, just because our corners have been so banged up.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning too, but I love Higgins. And I think this is where what we talked about earlier, that decision gets so tough. Let us know in the comments, because we got 1 cut left, right? I think
I see Lance. Lance is, Lance is saying Braid is too low. Braid is too low on the depth chart and can't play other. It looks like he would keep Higgins, and I can see the argument for that, Lance. But I think honestly, when I'm looking at our cornerback depth, is where I'm making my choice at this point. Where I'm leaning is that we could use some DBs, bro, because the DBs we got don't have a long history of staying healthy.
Yeah, I know. I am leaning that way as well. Keeping Braid. I think Lowry is pretty much a lock at this point. I mean, especially with them bringing Lowry in at safety before Bo Braid in the preseason game was very telling. So, and Lowry, I mean, could anyone have a better camp? Like this guy all off season, even in the preseason, just getting interceptions consistently. The fact that he can play corner as well, like Bo Braid, they're not going to line up at corner. So the fact that Lowry can play multiple positions if there's injuries to your point before, I think Lowry's making it. Everyone else here is pretty safe. It is the decision between Braid and Higgins. And
and I'm not making one yet, bro.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, this isn't, just to let everyone know, this isn't the official, we still have a week. We still have another preseason game to play here. This isn't either of our final rosters, but I wanted to visually go through it here, so we could really see how hard some of these decisions are going to be. This last cut, let's I am struggling with it as well. We're gonna put Higgins on the practice squad and keep Braid, but man, I would not be surprised at all if it went the other way. Bo Braid was on the practice squad last year; they were able to keep him. I if they want another linebacker, but I really agree with you, Jason. I think we need more DBs, and we don't have as many injury concerns at linebacker. Look at how many DBs are missing practice, including Jair Alexander. And I know they're load managing him. I'm not concerned about it, but like, regardless, injury history, Awuzie, injury history recently, TJ Tampa, Jalen Armour, like, you got 4 corners, I think, that have a history of injuries. So it wouldn't shock me at all. I see some people asking if Hummel is a lock or why keep Hummel. I think Hummel was brought in to be a special teams guy in general. And he has a lot of experience on special teams and as a depth linebacker. Do you think that what do you think though, Jason? Do you think Hummel could not make the team?
I think it's a slim possibility that they keep Higgins over Hummel, but I think, like you said, they usually have their Chris Board. And before Board, it was Anthony Levine, and that's what Jake Hummel is. Maybe in the future, Teddy is that guy, But Jake Hummel, like you said, he's like on all 4 units, and he's playing next to Teddy Buchanan in that quote unquote first team, without Roquan. When Trenton Simpson came out of the game. So Hummel looks like he's ahead and going to make the roster. But Hummel versus 4 years of Higgins, I could see that if Higgins can play special teams.
Yeah. And we got I would take Higgins over Ajabo. Well, they play 2 different positions. So who else would you have at outside linebacker then?
I will make the case for this.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to happen, but last year we saw a lot of Matabike at edge in a base 4-3 defense. You're really playing a 4-2-5 nickel to get technical. So you're going to rush 4 guys. You can put Matabike on the edge. You can put Oweh in the inside, so you can mix it up. Like if we have too many D linemen, and that's what we were just talking about, maybe you can go 5 D linemen and 4 edge, but I think 4 edge players would be a little light, and that's why I think they keep Ajabo.
That's what I was thinking too, especially with the Isaac injury and him being out for so long. Only having 4 edge guys makes me think Ajabo is safe, even though I haven't loved what I've saw from Ajabo. I don't know who else would be in that spot. I think that Isaac injury really cleared things up.
Yeah.
So there's a 53. I think the strong debate is the D line. Do they go with Jenkins? Do they go with Okoye? And then do you keep Higgins? Do you keep Bo Braid? Those are the ones I struggled with the most. Overall,
again,
go ahead.
I was going to say again, do you put Likely on IR? Then you can keep Bo Braid and Higgins. Problem solved. But you would lose Likely for the Bills game, the Browns game, the Lions game, and the Chiefs game, which are all big games. So that's you could go 24 on offense and keep Higgins and Braid on defense if you wanted to do it that way.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of people in the comments saying that they would keep Higgins. I agree. It wouldn't surprise me either way, man. I think you could easily reverse Braid and Higgins. We're just doing this right now, just to show how tough some of these cuts are. But you are going to have to put Higgins or Braid on the practice squad most likely. So are you moving Bo Braid then? Did Lowry kind of just take over Braid's position on the roster? I don't know.
Man, I got to say, I did a cut up on my channel of Jay Higgins. So if you want to see all his snaps from the Cowboys game, it's on Huddle It Up Films.
Yeah.
And he is just like, Ryan, his natural ability stands out. Like from when we talked last Wednesday to today, he is less hesitant than Buchanan is at this point. He's more physical than other linebackers, even though he's 6 foot 224, runs a 4.82. Like that's the reason Higgins didn't get drafted, is because he's not an quote unquote NFL athlete, but he's just so darn good at playing linebacker. His drops in coverage are just so smooth and fluid. He's in the right space. He seems to have a feel for what's going on around him. Jay Higgins is a heck of a football player. Like I said, if you want to check out his snaps, they're on my channel. Just to see, and so are Teddy's. So you can see the difference between Teddy and Jay Higgins. Higgins is an accomplished college linebacker, Ryan.
Yeah, I love Higgins, man. We got a super chat here from 2020 Vision. Appreciate you. Got to find a way to keep Higgins. I just switched him on the roster. I don't know. I'm gonna go back and forth all week. I'm gonna go back and forth all
keep
week.
them both, bro. Keep them both. Cheap.
No, yeah, I really don't know, man. I
put Likely in red, bro. Put Likely in red if you want.
Yeah, that's a great point too. If Likely's on IR, then you probably don't even bring up another tight end, and we just keep Higgins and Braid, and then you have the best of both worlds. I just had Likely not going on IR right now. We haven't heard that he's going to. If he does go on IR, that wouldn't technically fit the timeline that we originally were told of like 6 to 8 weeks. So I think he comes back in week 2, 3, 4, probably like you said, that Monday night in week 3 would be a great return there against the Lions. But yeah, if Likely goes on IR, or if anyone else goes on IR, like if they make another sneaky move, then we'll have an extra spot. But this is just kind of where we're at today, I think.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And of course, we don't have Brent Urban on this because of the handshake deal.
Yeah.
Dude, you see him just come off the couch and start mauling preseason offensive linemen.
It looked easy out there for him. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, sure. Haven't been doing anything all summer. I'll just come in for a few weeks and play the opening possession and make the first tackle of the game 2 weeks in a row. But I love this roster. I think it's a great roster, top to bottom. Corey Bullock, shout out to him for making his push and being a lock. And some of the guys who didn't make the roster. My question to you, Ryan, is do you remember Josh Ross, right?
Yeah.
The linebacker.
Yeah.
Awesome preseason, but it was late in the game, right? Just like Jay Higgins. It was with the third string unit or what have you. And he stayed on the practice squad for like 2 years, I think, until Jim took him at the Chargers.
Yeah.
But Jay Higgins, running a 4.82 doesn't matter to me and to a lot of fans because you see the way Jay Higgins is just a great football player. But when you're only 6 foot tall, 220 something, and run a 4.82, maybe as good as Higgins is, and we all think he'll be claimed, maybe they think they can get him to the practice squad, just like they did Josh Ross.
Yeah, for some reason, I feel like Braid would be safer on the practice squad, but I don't know.
Was he back and forth last year, Braid?
I think he mainly stayed on the practice squad. I don't think he was that active. I can't recall how many games he was active for, but he could have been pulled up a few of them, but he was mainly on the practice squad all year. He didn't play a lot in the regular season.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I think this is a good chart. Do you want me to pull up your little?
It's the same, bro. You can pull up mine, but yours worked fine. I just wanted you to have it as a resource. It's not.
Yeah, we'll look at where Jason's at. He's working on his 53 too. None of this is final. We still have another week. But this is what you put together.
So I got one more man to put in the yellow on defense. So it's between Higgins and Braid. But yeah, it's the same one that Ryan had basically. And I think between Dellinger, Dalcourt, and Samac, you're going to have a nice group of players that can go to the practice squad. And if one gets hawked by another team, I don't think there's really much difference in talent among those players, Ryan. Like, is Dillinger really better than Samac or better than Dalcourt? They're all kind of the same guys, talent-wise. So I think that you just go with 9 linemen until hopefully Emery comes back.
Yeah. We got a question from Don C. Does CJ Okoye count against the 53-man roster? I feel like if they sneak him to the practice squad, someone grabs him, maybe even Ravenel. Yeah, I mean, anyone that they keep would count against the roster, and then there's practice squad spots. We were debating that earlier, that it would be risky to put Okoye on the practice squad because of his potential and youth and size. And we think he'd get plucked too. So I don't think it's safe. I do think Ravenel probably ends up on the practice squad. I think that might be a safe move to the practice squad. But I think Okoye may make the active roster just due to the risk of losing him. Yeah.
I just want to know. I want to keep Okoye too. I want to know how nervous, if at all, fans would be when Okoye gets in the game and plays no tackle against Buffalo, backing up Travis Jones. Like, that's a veteran, the number 1 run blocking offensive line in a huge game. Do you trust the man that's never played in the NFL before, who just started playing preseason games, to get in there and be part of that starting line in that Buffalo game? It's nerve wracking, but in the end, Ryan, I could not risk losing to Koye.
I know that's where I'm at with it too. Sam Moore said, I feel a trade is coming. This is an interesting dynamic too, is you never know, and there's so many wrinkles that could pop up late when they're, trading John Jenkins for a late pick or whatever. Just certain guys they can make a move for. They could bring in a guy that they like from another team, and then that's one less roster spot. So, I mean, a trade is always dynamic that could be thrown in here. It might not be as cut and dry as just like keep or cut your own guys.
Agree with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So overall, tough roster cuts. I think when you get down to the Higgins Braid decisions, this team's so stacked. Though I'm excited to get this season rolling. I'm excited for Saturday too. Early game on Saturday, and probably I saw Harbaugh say today that Cooper Rush is going to play a lot again. So I think, it's an interesting decision, I guess, to play him, half the game. He said it'll be similar to the Cowboys game. So we'll probably see quite a bit of the young guys. Definitely a bunch of guys that aren't going to make it that are practice squad candidates. And then these bubble guys, I think, will play. So I'll be looking at Jason, who are you eyeing up for Saturday if they play? You going to be eyeing up like a Koye and those guys, and Higgins is, if they,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And I kind of hope that Devontae plays less.
Yeah.
I want to see, I don't want to see Devontae with Cooper Rush anymore. I want to see Devontae getting snaps with Lamar preserving himself. Like, I don't know. Charlie Kolar played, it was another one. He played like almost the whole first half, plus he had like 40 some snaps. Rush had 40 some snaps. Ali had, 19 carries. So those are guys like I know they want to play Rush and keep the game flow nice, but I don't think we need to put Charlie out there that much. I don't think we need to put Tez out there that much. I would like to see us just play some guys that we know aren't going to make the roster.
Yeah, even like Mike Green and stuff. Like,
Mike Green. Why does he need to be out there? Rosengarten doesn't need
a lot.
Rosengarten doesn't need any more work. Voorhees doesn't need any more work. So I hope they do. Like even with the Rush announcement today, like you're saying, I hope some other guys kind of take a step back. That's what I would be looking for.
Yeah, I completely agree. What are your overall thoughts on? I've been seeing a lot of teams. So there's been a trend the last few years of like nobody important really playing in the preseason. But this year, I've been seeing a lot of key, Joe Burrow and just Jaden Daniels, like key star players are out there playing in the preseason. What are your thoughts on playing starters and the Ravens deciding to not do that at all?
I'm cool. I've been arguing with our guy Sutton Death on this, but I don't need to see Lamar out there. No. Just
too
look,
risky.
dude, being a quarterback or playing any position, even quarterback, the quarterback hits he's going to have to take when he's getting rid of the ball under pressure in the pocket. And I just don't want anybody around Lamar's. He is the franchise.
Yeah.
So to me, I think it's like what the Bengals are doing is reactionary. They let Burrow go out there and get his butt kicked.
He was taking some hits, man.
Like, why not, Ryan? How about instead, you're like the Bengals have gotten off to 0-2 starts, I think, for 3 years in a row or something, right? Like,
yep.
I might be wrong on the numbers, but the Bengals,
rough starts.
So they've gotten off the rough starts. That's why they're playing Burrow and Higgins and Chase, I guess. But like, why don't you change the way you practice instead? Why that to me would be a much better solution than sending Burrow out there to get his butt kicked. And I'm cleaning this up for your channel, brother, because on my channel I might be saying something different. But to me, no. Like, look, if you got a rookie quarterback like Cam Ward, he needs to play. I think, you know what I mean. I don't have no problem with that.
Right.
Even if you want to get Jaden Daniels a little bit of a warm up, because this is only his second year, I agree with that. But like some of the stuff I look at as reactionary. There's more than one reasons you've gotten off the slow starts, and getting your butt kicked in the preseason game isn't the answer.
Yeah, I agree. It's just too risky. The preseason gives me PTSD if we play anyone important from that one year. I forget exactly what year it was, but Dobbins went down, and then like Peters and Gus Edwards. It felt like it was like all in a short amount of time. Like the season was like really wrecked, and there was a dent on the season just because we played them in some meaningless games. And Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, is it ideal to get some game reps for Lamar and them? Yeah, but like, is it worth the risk of injury? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Anyway, coming up on an hour here. Any final thoughts? Anything on your mind or?
Well, I love it because I'm the final thoughts guy, so I get to
All
come
right.
on and you give me the final
Yeah.
thoughts. Yeah, I would just say, the Ravens flock out there, all those on Ryan's channel and anybody who may be watching from my channel. I thank you guys
Yeah.
so much for the support. Really excited about this season, Ryan. I would just say, the continuity among all the players coming back. Not only is it a talented roster, but most of the roster went through this last year. They went through it right with us, the emotional roller coaster. Some of them went through the emotional roller coaster the year before, a lot of them. So this isn't some Philadelphia Eagles teams of the past where they just paid a bunch of money, stuck a bunch of superstars together. These dudes have been through it together. Common goal, common mission. We got a lot of free agents next year, I think 20 plus. So this is the year to do it. We have got to do it this year, and I'm confident we can. Just a general big picture thing.
I'm confident we can too, man. Like you said, the continuity, not only from the players, but the coaching staff too. Even increasing the coaching staff. I mean, we're adding Chuck Pagano. Like great defensive minds are over on that defense right now with Dean Pease, Chuck Pagano, Zach Orr in his second year. I think the Ravens have everything they need. Just don't turn the ball over in the playoffs, or get more turnovers on defense. That
Play our game. Just look like the Ravens. Just look like the Ravens.
Yeah, we always do beat ourselves, man. I mean, yeah, I know that's a common narrative, but it's so true. Like the Ravens will play down and then lose the game, even though they're capable of playing so much more. They always beat themselves when we lose. This team is so stacked.
Hey, look, I'm gonna encourage people out there, and you too, Ryan, to just enjoy the journey. Though, let's not forget we're in the Lamar Jackson era, and what we're watching now is not normal. So let's not stress ourselves with this. Oh, come January. Look, let's try to enjoy the regular season, and take the old cliche one game at a time, and not get too Harbaugh. Harbaugh can't do it, or we can't. Look, let's just enjoy what we got because it's pretty special here in Baltimore.
Yep, 100%, man. Hold on. Edwin's got a question for you here. He said, should I super chat it? Nah, you don't have to, man. Jason, what's your opinion on how EDC has been making roster decisions and building this roster?
Hey, what's up, Mr. Nevado? It's good seeing you, Edwin. I like it. I would like to see. I think DaCosta has done really well in the first round, especially you look back at all his picks. I'm not going to list them, but if you like PQ and Oway are your worst picks, that's nailing the first round. I wish he would stop deferring later on to his coaches and to whoever else. I wish EDC would put his foot down and choose the players he wants and say round 5, 6, 7. That's where I've had an issue with some of the picks. The Caillou Blue Kellys, the Big Sala, players that I looked at, and valuations. My thing is, Edwin, I'm just like, man, these aren't NFL guys. So, yeah, I think that he's built a great roster, though. I think you look at DaCosta, Howie Roseman, those two stand out as consistently putting the best rosters out there. The Bills, you have questions about their defense. Who are some other teams, Ryan? They always have questions. Rams are up and down, all in and all out. So I like what DaCosta is doing now. Maybe that's a little bit Stan and the hometown team, but I mean, you look at the roster. Lamar makes this thing go, but I still think the roster around him is pretty darn good.
Yeah, Eric DaCosta, I think, has been knocking it out of the park, man. I don't know the roster is not the issue. You know what I mean? It is not on paper, which is his job, to build a deep roster. That has not been the issue. They've been doing well in the draft. Yeah, I think we got everything we need, man. I'm serious. Last super chat here. Shout out to Heather. Appreciate you, Heather, for the 5. But I think we'll wrap it up with that, guys. We appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. It's cool going over the premature 53, looking at what those tough decisions are. I think we got a good little picture here, and appreciate you, Jason, for coming on, man. And yeah, and I'd love to have you on again. I had a great time on your show last week. Everybody go subscribe to Huddle It Up Films. Plenty of great content over there, and not enough subscribers. So go over
Check out that Jay Higgins. Check
Yeah.
out the Jay Higgins and Teddy Buchanan tape and compare those, dude. I'm loving all the comments on those videos, and I want to hear some fans of the Flock Rundown channel what they have to say over there on those two linebackers.
Yeah.
And Hodari, hey, what's up, Hodari?
Head over to Jason's channel, Huddle It Up Films, subscribe, watch the clips. You'll, get a better picture. If you don't have access to like all 22 films and stuff, he's clipping players up and putting it all together for you guys. You could just watch individual players and watch all the snaps from that game. And he's got a ton of those. So definitely head over there, show him some love. But we appreciate all of you guys. Have a beautiful rest of your night. And I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.